Hey everybody, welcome to Bura Tech. In this episode, we're going to be talking about what Microsoft did to take a shot at Apple and Google. Alright, welcome back. Before I start this video, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. So, Microsoft just took a huge shot at Apple and Google. What Microsoft did is they actually sent out a guideline on how app stores and companies should work. And what Microsoft has done is allowed developers to implement their own payment system and have their own individual app stores. Now, of course, this is a direct shot off the bow of Apple and Google. And if you don't know, Apple is in this huge battle with Fortnite that is about this exact topic. Because Fortnite tried to implement their own payment processor on the Apple ecosystem and Apple said no. So Microsoft is saying, well, Apple shouldn't really do that. So we're gonna allow them to implement their own payment processors and we're gonna allow people to set up their own individual app store. If only Microsoft had their own phone ecosystem that was actually relevant. Maybe that's a topic for another time, but maybe Microsoft could be an Apple competitor in the smartphone market in the future. It's unlikely, but it is definitely a possibility. So obviously this has caused a lot of heads to turn. Specifically, there's a congresswoman from Seattle that said that Microsoft is the only adult in the room. So Microsoft has gone down the antitrust road before, and what Congress is suggesting is that not necessarily these companies be broken up, but to change the structural agreements between their existing platforms. So what that means is you might see a loosening of all the tight regulations on all of these platforms, because a lot of these tech companies, including Microsoft, kind of act like mafia bosses and you don't approach on the other person's territory. So Microsoft is by far one of the most diversified of these tech companies, so they can afford to take this risk. Apple is not as diversified and they make a ton of money from the App Store. Now, of course, Apple has a lot of expenses with the App Store too. However, since Microsoft has made this announcement, I bet that you'll start to see a lot more pressure on Apple and Google. Now, of course, Google can allow different app stores, but they go out of their way to make sure that those app stores are seen as unsafe. And believe it or not, that is a problem. Right now, it's almost impossible to get malware on your iPhone. It can happen, but it's very hard. If we open up the platform, then there will be malware on the iPhone, and do we really want that? So the answer is obviously no, but I've always said that if Apple wants to get ahead of the game, which they should totally get ahead of the game, is that they should add a sliding scale of revenue. And what that means is that the more money you make on the App Store, the less rev share they take. Now, of course, they can structure it in a way that Apple still gets more money the more you sell, but at the same time, it is less than that 30%, because once companies get too big, that 30% is a huge hindrance into cost. Now, I run a small business and I'm an indie developer, so if they want to take 30%, that's fine with me. But if I was making 500 million or 100 million a year on this app store, then that 30% would definitely eat into the productivity of not only my company, but also the products that I could produce. So this is really the crux of the argument. Does the Apple ecosystem inhibit innovation? If the answer is yes, then things need to change. If the answer is no, then things can stay the same. And again, I think the thing that Apple should do is make a sliding scale of revenue, get ahead of the game, because if the United States is thinking about making structural changes, then other governments, specifically Europe, might do the same as well, and it could be even worse for Apple than if they just act today. Getting ahead of the game in anything is probably the best way to do it. So what do you think about this development? Please leave your comments down below. Please be sure to like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. And if you really like this channel, you can subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. We don't do a Patreon, instead we sell a subscription to our massive e-learning training site. We release 20 to 60 hours of fresh new content per month. We take all the money we get from the subscribers and make new content. And our goal is to get to 10,000 paid subscribers per month. We have a monthly and yearly option. So if you really like this channel and you really like learning, please subscribe. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in another video.